Coming to you from the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network newsroom, I'm Guy Ticker with the Strange News. Officially sanctioned treasure hunt finds no hidden Nazi loot in Dutch village. I'm Guy Ticker. The Strange News is brought to you by Night Dreams Talk Radio Network. Do you have a strange story? Contact us at nightdreamstalkradio.com.
Who's friends with all the night dreamers talking to you at night? Gary on the radio, but maybe he's not inside. Bigfoot's on his tail, flying UFOs, that's right. Gary's Talk Show Radio, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights. If you need a friend to talk to, he will always be there. The Night Dreamers Talk Show will fix your despair, because Gary's talking to you at night.
You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, the home of Night Dreams Talk Radio, with Gary Anderson, syndicated worldwide. Paranormal Talk Radio, like you remember.
Well, it is Thursday already. The week is just moving by so fast. Well, big shout out to all the people on chat. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Mother Scorpion, we got Kim, and we have June, and we have other people. You know, in the Pentagon released about these balloons that were flying over America, and we shot down a couple of them. Well, the Pentagon said they figured out what was going on. China, yes, China, was sending them over for they could photograph things that their satellite couldn't do for maybe down the road attacking the United States with hypersonic missiles. JC, that's kind of alarming.
That's very alarming. We kind of suspected that anyway, but they actually, I guess they've confirmed that. But yes, this is very scary stuff, Gary, especially these missiles. As far as I know, we don't have anything to be able to stop those, do we?
Nothing yet, but we're working on it. But that's the scary part. And you know, Russia has one. It's so many stories big. It's like the biggest, missile ever built. And I'll tell you, that one is really a nightmare. In China, you know, we were talking a while back about AI, James. You know what's really bad about AI? In China, I was reading a good article about it. They are so advanced in AI that they have cameras on the street, cameras on the corners, cameras everywhere. And the cameras, besides recognizing you by your face, they know everything about you. Everything that ever you have in statistics in China, they know about you. But it's so far advanced that they don't even have to get your face. Just the way you walk, either the front view or back view, it'll identify you.
That's pretty amazing, especially if in China there's 1 billion people. I don't even know how.
Well, the villagers we're talking in the cities and stuff. JC.
Yeah, but still, there's 10 billion or 10 million in one city. That's something to be able to discern that to individuals.
Well, that's scary though, about that far advanced in AI, and then they're talking about chipping people down the road. That is really scary too. And, I was talking to the vet today about, dogmen and werewolves and stuff like that. I also, because, they chip animals. And I said, what information can you put on a chip nowadays? He said, we can put encyclopedia on it. That's how much information they can put on a chip. So, wow. Again, down the road, they can put your whole life story on a chip.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was one of the things that everybody's been kind of whispering about over the last few years. These chips, they want to, where you work, they want to put them in other places, but scary stuff.
If you're a gig worker, you got another break from the IRS for another year. They were going to implement, if you make $600 this year, that you would get a little notice from your provider like PayPal or any of those platforms. You would have to, file it in your taxes. Well, the paperwork is so involved that the IRS said they pushed it out another year. So that's a good relief because look at it. I mean, now, you can still make $20,000 or less and under 200 and some transactions. And before it gets reported to the IRS, the way it was before, $600. It was crazy. Now, if a relative sends you the $600 and you can verify it, which you still got a lot of paperwork to have to do, that's the other problem the IRS kind of started figuring out. How do we, figure the difference out of people getting money from a transaction, even babysitting? That is so crazy. At $600, I mean, what's that going to do to the economy? And by the way, our economy is bankrupt. That has come out too. It's totally bankrupt. We're negative.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, and if we took everybody's money in the whole United States, it wouldn't pay our debt. So if everybody gave the government, right, the Department of the Treasury, everything they had money-wise, we'd still be negative.
That is a scary thought. And then on top of that, it's like Big Brother wants to monitor everything you do. $600. Here's another one. Think about this. What if AI gets involved with this taxation and how much you make and how much you got to report?
Yeah, that's scary too. But the other thing is the government's trying to sell bonds, right? And China is not. Well, normally they buy a lot, but their economy's kind of tits up right now too. But what they're doing is the only way they're buying our treasury bonds is we're heavy discounting them. That's what's keeping this country afloat right now. People don't realize we're in a bad shape right now.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. If money that we make doesn't equal the debt, that's scary in itself. Plus, if they're buying the bonds on 60 cents or 70 cents on the dollar, what a deal.
Yeah, or less. And you know what? It scares me. People can go bankrupt. States have gone bankrupt. Cities have gone bankrupt. What happens if the U.S. government down the road, at this rate, we're printing money that we don't have no backing? Of course, we don't have it anyway. But according to this article, we're bankrupt. And what happens if the country goes bankrupt? You remember what happened in Germany in the 30s, right? You could have a wheelbarrow full of money and get a loaf of bread.
Yeah, wheelbarrow equaled really what a dollar used to be. So yeah, you're right. Matter of fact, doesn't China don't they have like 1,000,000 yen or something that equals a little amount?
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing is, well, just watch what happens in the future. If the government starts printing out new money and you have to turn in your old money for the new money, watch out.
Or how about if they want to do away with money altogether and just have it digital? Then what?
I don't know. They're already trying that in New York. You know that.
Yeah, and AI is behind that. So think about that too.
It is. It's really scary. We're going to be right back with our guests, so stay tuned, buckle up, get yourself in that easy chair, put a log in that fire, pour yourself a hot chocolate or that other, and let's have fun here tonight.
The biggest names, the brightest stars on the red carpet and on the air with Gary Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the big get, Gary's got him. Like voiceover artist Jim Meskimen. Is his mom really Mrs. C on Happy Days? Allison Arngrim from Little House on the Prairie. Oh, speaking of Little House, Gary's got Dean Butler from the show talking about his book, Prairie Man, My Little House Life and Beyond. Here's much more. Yeah, there is. Check this out. Loretta Swit, Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH. So listen to Gary Anderson, because you never know who's gonna show. That's why we do these promos, right? Gary Anderson, where the stars come out to play. Tune in early, tune in often, right here on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network. Lee Hampel lives in Wauconda, Illinois, a retired high school mathematics teacher of 35 years. After retiring, he and his wife had a horse riding academy. They bought a 35-acre farm by Elkhorn, Wisconsin in 2007 to produce hay for the horses. In 2013, their neighbor told them that there is a werewolf that lives on the property, and a lot of neighbors had seen it. The werewolf is called the Beast of Bray Road.
Well, Lee, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
Very well, thanks. Thank you for having me.
Well, what's it like? You taught in school, and then now you're retired. You have this beautiful property, and how did you take it? How did you take it when your neighbors started saying, "Well, there's this creature"?
Well, am I getting double hit here? Are you can hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay, all right, thanks. Oh, well, I told him, I said, you're so full of it, your eyes are brown. I mean, I had no interest in anything like that. I was a mathematics teacher, a chemistry minor, and science person, and that was that somebody tell me that the werewolf or the Beast of Bray Road lives on my property. And I said, you got too much alcohol, you're in Wisconsin. He said, no. He started telling me, he said, my wife and my mother-in-law saw it, and started telling me this farmer saw it and that farmer saw it. And I knew all those farmers. And I mean, it was in the last 30 years, within a mile of my property, there's been, many sightings, right up to the present day.
What type of thing, besides sightings, has anybody lost anything like livestock, like chickens or pigs or ex-wives or anything like that?
There's been pigs that have been attacked with the hide on their back is all torn up and things of that type. These are feeder pigs, so they're 50 to 200 pounds, and they're like probably 50 of them in a pen, and then every now and then in the 70s and 80s, one of the pigs would be all tore up on his back, and the farmer that occurred with, he told me it was coyotes. Well, coyotes are not going to go into a pen of pigs. Coyotes are small. They're like the fox, and they don't have the mechanism or the toenails to cut through heavy pig skin. So that's happened. Another farmer told me he's a dairy farmer, and he said he was I stopped by there, and he was coming in, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, one of the cows died, and I put it out in my field." And I said, "Well, why?" He said, "Well, the coyotes carried away." I go, "Well, no, the coyotes don't carry it away. The coyotes will eat it, and then if they're going to go back to their den, they'll disgorge it to the babies. So they don't carry away, a cow."
Yeah, and coyotes are not that big of, I have coyotes where I live, and I've had them on my property. They basically look like an ugly looking dog. It hasn't been taken care of.
Yeah, they're people say that they equate them like to wolves, but they should be equated to foxes. They're much smaller than a wolf. I put out 20 deer, and 18 of them have been carried away. With deer mutilation, and I don't know if you have any of those pictures, but deer mutilation and things of that type. With the 20 deer that I put out that were roadkill deer from 2013 to 2016.
Well, something is evidently going on. By the way, with pigs, people don't realize it. There's been people that actually got rid of their spouses and other people by throwing them in a pig pen, because pigs will eat, everything. I mean everything.
Yeah. I grew up on a farm, and we had hogs, and yes, they will. The chicken got in there. Many times they would take care of the chicken, so they're very aggressive. And of course, now with the feral pigs that are in the southern states and moving up this way, they're having tremendous problems with the pigs in Kentucky and Tennessee and Louisiana and that type of thing. So they're very aggressive. Yes.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people about Dogman. I'm still on the fence with the Dogman. I've had an encounter myself with a friend of mine who's a medical doctor with a Bigfoot up in the Canadian Rockies. And okay. I know what they look like, and I know how they respond. But a Dogman, I still, is it a werewolf or a Dogman? Is it a werewolf that kind of changed through the centuries, and I don't know, but something is going on.
It has never attacked him. I've seen Dogman 3 times near my farm or on my farm, and it's never attacked anybody. It scratched one lady's car, but it's chased people. But then it like faint charges, and then it'll chase them for a bit, and then it stops and turns it back and goes back into the, goes back to the cornfield or the woods wherever it's at. So yeah, it never hurt anybody.
Now, JC, who's the person we had on Dogman quite a few times?
Oh, my buddy Vincent.
Yeah, he said he had an encounter kind of late at night where his vehicle was. He saw a Dogman, and he said it was all covered with blood around the mouth. And, again, has anybody ever checked to see when people go missing? I mean, a lot of people go missing in places. I mean, I know how wild dogs are. I know how wolves respond because I've been, I grew up in the woods. Mm-hmm. And again, if dogmen really exist, who knows? When they're hungry, they're a canine. Maybe. I mean, I have pictures of them materializing right in front of the camera. So shape shifting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. From nothing to a dogman in 1 second. Uh-huh.
We better watch JC. He could be a shapeshifter, and we might have one right here next to me. But when you really think about this, something is going on because there's been so many reports about dogmen. I've had, people send me videos and stuff. And today I spent like 15, 20 minutes with a vet, doctor. Okay. And we were talking about it because he listens to the show. And I said, we're going to be talking about, dogmen and werewolves. And he says, well, the structure, how a dog is, or, a creature like a dog, or a wolf, or any of that. If they were born and they're young enough, and to say they were born without the front, legs, or something happened to them, they can adapt and they can walk a few feet. But they can't walk stable, he said, because the way that the legs are developed and everything is developed, that's the part that confuses me. And then I keep going back, to the reports of going back to the Greeks and all that stuff, going back 2100 BC, where they had reports of people shape-shifting into a werewolf type of creature, or it could be a dogman, I mean, unless you have one right there talking to you, I don't know what they are.
I mean, the dogman, the tracks, I have many, many snow tracks. I don't know if I sent you any, I'm not quite sure. I know I sent some to Connie. The tracks are very, very straight line, no straddle, and he'll walk half a mile while in the snow or in the neighbor's field when there's dirt available. I can track him in dirt. He's very stable. He can take 4-foot steps and not at all be unstable. And 4-foot steps in his direct line, no straddle. 4-foot steps all the way across my field, that'd be a quarter mile.
That's interesting. Again, with shape-shifting, I wonder what they're shape-shifting from.
Well, I mean, in mathematics, they said there's multi-universes. The mathematics has proved there's multi-universes.
Parallel universes, yes.
Well, parallel, it could be parallel, they're not sure. But the University of Wisconsin did get a grant. I talked with them. They are working on techniques or something along that line to identify these other universes. And I have pictures of portals in my field. So, I mean, I feel, in my field at least, I feel that it's transcending from another universe, another multi-universes there. Mathematics has proved there's multi-universes. So we live in this 3-dimensional one. But there's absolutely other universes that are, it could be parallel or they could be, adjacent. I mean, it's hard to say, but there's absolute proof of that.
Yeah, well, Michio Kaku said on our show that we are so close to cracking another dimension where, it could go into portals, it can go into, parallel universes, multi-universes. It could be a lot that we can't even comprehend.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have, three-dimensional, length, width, and height. But we have two-dimensional objects here. A shadow is a two-dimensional object. It does not have any height. A shadow has length and width. So we can see some two-dimensional objects in our present world that we live in. But I'm sure if there's two-dimensional or four-dimensional, in reality, we really would not be able to see that in any type of extended situation.
Well, some of the different Indian tribes across the country, they talk about shape-shifting, something that would be like a dogman.
Yes, there's stories passed down through the ages. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you have this property. People have had, weird things happen. And all this time you had your property. I mean, how many have you seen and really?
Well, I have over 100,000 pictures on my computer, and most of them have a paranormal activity to them. It could be lights, it could be orbs, it could be a mist, it could be a figure very close to the camera. It could be UFOs. I have many UFO pictures, and so it's geographically, all that is occurring in about my field and the neighbor's field. So about an 80-acre field. I have 100,000 pictures that I have on my computer. I've been doing extensive, repeatable experiments for the last 10 years, since 2013.
And again, you didn't know about this till you bought the property. Am I correct?
I didn't know about it till 6 years. Well, no, 2007. Yeah, 6 years after I bought the property.
How did one of your neighbors come up and start telling you, "Hey, there's these creatures on your property"?
Well, yeah. I mean, people don't talk about it. Once I started doing experiments, and I was very large figures, and I went over to my neighbor who has owned the property for a number. She moved there. She's passed away, rest in peace. But when she was 20, her and her husband bought the property. And so I told that family, I said, I have pictures, and I showed them some of the pictures of a very large black, figure in the field. It's a quarter mile away, but it's huge. And she was 80 some years old, and she came over on her riding lawnmower and pulled into my shed. I'm relatively close, probably 500 feet from her house. And she pulled into my shed and she said, Lee, if you go out there at night, be careful. And she turned her riding lawnmower around and went back to her house. So she knew a lot, and the one lady right there next door, she saw a very large UFO when she was 10 years old, her and her cousin. So, I mean, you can stand in my front yard and I can point to every visible farm, and they have had an experience with the Dogman or with a UFO.
Now, has anybody tried to shoot the Dogman to show that they have one as proof?
Oh, I mean, no, I haven't heard of anybody, but I don't think I don't think you're going to do anything. I do carry. I would never shoot it. I do carry. If I go out by myself, I carry a flare gun that's designed for boats and things. It's a distress flare gun, and it just shoots out basically object that is on fire. And I do take that with me if I go out by myself, but I would never shoot it. And I've never heard of anybody shooting it. No.
No, I'm just kind of curious. Has anybody found the remains of one anywhere?
Well, no, nobody wants to look for it. I mean, my neighbor, he saw it in 2014, and excuse me, I'm a little cold. He came over and told me, he goes, I don't want to see that effing thing. That thing come running through my yard. It was 7 feet tall and 30 feet from me, and looked at me, and that thing was running on 2 legs chasing the coyote, and I don't want to see that. I've made fun of everybody that's seen that thing. I don't want to see that thing. And so, and my brother and I, we offered him quite a bit of money to make a video of his experience, because he was so animated, and he declined that offer. So people don't want to look for it. I'm the only one in the whole area that has done extensive experiments to identify the lights, the orbs, the UFOs, the mist, the deer mutilation, the smell.
Okay, now,
so,
Lee, we need to take a break for the radio station.
Okay.
And when we come back, I want to find out about these UFOs, the myths, and more about the mutilations and what's all going on. We're going to be back with Lee here on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Check out our website. If you want to find out who tomorrow's guest is, go to www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And our call-in number, we're going to open it up maybe about 10 minutes before the end of the show. Yeah, that's one of our providers out of New York, is 716-405-0253. And don't forget, January, we're going to make some major changes. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I know we'll make it right. We've been here before. I know we crossed the line. It's hard to ignore. This weight is down on me. You've got me on my knees. Won't you give me sweetness and light for my restless mind? Please give me a way to escape this world gone astray. You could give me a little peace of mind in these troubled times. Won't you give me a way to be free from these chains that bind me?
Captain Paul Watson was a co-founder of the Greenpeace Foundation in 1972 and the founder of Sea Shepherd in 1977. In 2022, he was forced out of Sea Shepherd in a hostile takeover. So, he established the Captain Paul Watson Foundation to carry on the work they'll carry on against the Icelandic slaughter of endangered fin whales. And in 2024, they plan to be in the Southern Ocean Whale Sanctuary to stop the return of Japanese whalers who will be defying the International Court of Justice. They have 1 ship, but they need 2 more. Please visit paulwatsonfoundation.org to become a monthly donor. By becoming a monthly donor, you can help grow their Navy and help save our oceans. We don't survive on this planet with dead oceans. If the oceans die, we die. Please visit now www.paulwatsonfoundation.org.
You're listening to Night Dreams Radio with Gary.
And we
Anderson.
are back with Lee. You know, you mentioned you have orbs, you have UFOs, and the fog. You know, how many, like, what do these UFOs look like?
Oh, they're some of them are very unusual. Some of them are very traditional looking. I have, one I call it the, the grill. It looks like a grill. I mean, it's a lot bigger than the egg grill that I think it's green egg or something. But and I have other ones that are just kind of lights. That one is shaped. I've seen it. I have 3-4 times on my cameras. It's really just a light that looks like an Easter egg. It has like hieroglyphics on the side, and you can see it appears to be some type of writing or something on the side of it, but it's just a basically illuminated, looks like an Easter egg, but it's huge.
Now,
right. I have a pterodactyl that really looks like a pterodactyl flying across my field, and I have other unusual orbs and things of that type too. So
it sounds like you have a portal open up on your property.
yeah, I have pictures of a portal. I have several pictures of portals. They open up. I get thousands and thousands of false triggers. I'll get 600-800 in 2 weeks of false triggers, and in that process, many times there'll be a circular shape that is translucent, and it will disturb the vision. Like if it's in the trees, it'll disturb the quality of the trees in that area. And I have lights coming through these orbs or through these portals. The light comes through, and the edge of the portal is the edge of the light. I mean, it's a light source coming through, and it stays within that portal. I have pictures of that.
How big are these portals?
Oh, I mean, the one that has the light coming through is probably 6 feet. By the size it is on the tree,
And what, like when these UFOs or UAPs or whatever they're called nowadays,
Sure.
when they
Sure.
appear, what is there anything like? Do they come out of a portal, or are they just hovering over your property? I mean, can you describe that to the listeners?
Well, I mean, I've seen when I've been out there, I've seen UFOs. I've seen shafts of light. I've seen not really ever any orbs with my naked eye, but I have many videos that I've taken with a night vision scope, and I have probably 200-300 videos of orbs coming up to my truck, and they played games with me, and they peekaboo, and then they go back down, and then they go away, and then they come back later, and they come fly by, and so I have many orbs that I've taken with a night vision. You cannot see them; they're infrared orbs in that situation. Now I have seen Linda Godfrey and we saw an orb come across my field, which was not in the infrared range; it was in our vision range.
Interesting.
And I've seen shafts of light. I've had witnesses with me. We've seen shafts of light.
Now, like you mentioned, like mutilations. Now, are these like animals, like you were saying, you put out on the field, or are they living type of where they were like? I know, like in Oregon, for example, there's been mutilations of cows that that this one pathologist did a complete autopsy with this poor animal back a couple of years ago, and he said that this cow was standing when the mutilation started, because when the eyes were removed, the liquid from between the eyes and the brain ran down off its nostril and not off the side. If it would have been dead, it would have ran off to the side. And there were some other things. Has anybody been losing any animals that are out in their pasture?
They wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't know that. I mean, I put out roadkill deer that I would call the DNR, and they'd give me a number, and I'd pick up 20 of them, and I'd put them out in various places in my field and put a camera on them, so usually 2 cameras, 3 cameras on them. And they would be there, and then a mist would come on bright, clear days, and I'm in the mist quite a few of these, several of these pictures, and half my body is gone, and that's a bright, clear day. And then the deer would be moved, or the deer would be gone, or many times too, the deer would be there, and then an hour and a half later, the next picture the camera takes, and the the deer is gone. So he can either manipulate the camera, or he doesn't. He cloaks it. I mean, then of course the 5-toed 7-pad tracks are the most common tracks, which there's no animal in the world that has 5 toes and 7 pads. It's got a center pad and a heel pad, and they'll be there, and or they'll carry it through through the neighbor's cornfield, and there'll be those type of tracks will be there.
Now, you or your neighbor, when you go out on the field, aren't you worried that miss could happen and you could be gone? What
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen it, and I always call my brother, and in May 11th of 2021, it was in my neighbor's field, and I was looking at it. I took pictures for 3.5 minutes with my iPhone 11. Now, it was a quarter mile away, and but the pictures are pretty clear. And yeah, then I called my brother and I sent him some of the pictures, and I said, okay, my brother Fred, I'm going over there. That was actually west of my field, then neighbor's bean field, and I'm going to go over there. And so stay on the phone with me, and if this thing comes out, I'll become Wisconsin folklore.
Yeah.
The dumb farmer went and chased this thing, but he didn't. And I went over there and yelled and said, come on out, let's visit and have some tea. And then when I went there, then here were these 5-toed 7-pad tracks in a straight line that had exactly where I had seen it walking, and they were heading over to the woods. And they dropped down on all 4 and went into the woods. He does do that sometimes. They'll drop down on all 4.
I would be scared to be walking in your pasture on your property. I'll be honest with you, because what happens that you're walking, dropping these deers off, right? Roadkill. And all of a sudden a portal opens up and you're gone. What's your wife going to do?
There's speculation on that. Yeah. The one time when I saw it at night, it just disappeared. Jumped 15, 20 feet in one jump, and then jumped 15, 20 feet in another jump. And I saw its red eyes 4 times in that situation. But there's a discussion of that. Yeah. Many people have come, and they get chased out very rapidly, or they. One guy, he was a Marine guy, and he was up in my shed about an hour after he'd gone out there, and I said, what are you doing? I thought you were going to stay out for the night. He goes, whoa. He goes, my hair, I was in, I think he had been in Iraq, but he said, the hair on the back of my neck and on my arms, when I walked into that woods right next to your property, I have a woods that's on the north fence line. He said I've never experienced that I looked at my arms, and the hair was standing straight up, and the hair in the back of my neck was standing straight up. And he said, I can't. I said, you're a Marine. He goes, I know. I've never had that. That was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me.
So he got bad vibes. How big of woods are we talking about?
A couple acres. Well, there's woods to the west. They're probably 10, 15 acres. And then to the north, probably another 10, 15 acres. There's a small woods that's right on my fence line. That's a couple acres. It's farm field. People come, well, this is just a farm field. And then, then I take them out for a hayride, and the one lady telling Fred, she said, my car is moving. The GPS says my car is moving. And I think Fred told her, your car is not moving. You have many interferences out here. She said, no, my car is moving. And of course, when we got back up to the barn, her car was in the same location, even though her app on her iPhone, told her the car was moving. So there is a lot of technical problems out there. Many.
Now, Lee, you have horses, right? How many horses do you have?
In Wauconda, I have horses. I don't have any horses. I don't have any cattle up there.
Okay.
In Wauconda, I have 4 horses. We have 4 horses.
Okay, I thought maybe you had horses out there in pasture or
No.
something.
No. We have no animals up there because we live here in Wauconda, and it'd be very difficult to take care of them. And so, no, we have a small farm here in Wauconda, and that's where we have horses and cows and sheep and goats and ducks and chickens and turkeys, and it's a small farm.
Have you ever thought of taking a live animal up and put it there and see what happens?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, a couple of reasons. First of all, a goat or something like that. I wouldn't do that because there is a neighbor down the road that has goats, and let's suppose he, I think from my experiments, I think the goat would be taken away. It happened 20 times or 18 times out of 20. And so I wouldn't want then the neighbor starts to lose goats down the road, and he come down and say, Lee, I heard you put a goat out. Now my goats are gone, and I go, okay. So now I can't put out anything because Wisconsin has the chronic wasting disease. I have not been able to put out deer since 2016. You can't move deer in southern Wisconsin anymore because of this chronic wasting disease. So they're on the side of the road. I used to be able to call and get a number. I could pick them up, but now they don't move the deer. They leave the deer right there because if a deer has this disease and you move it, then you create a new hotspot. So I have not been able to put out any deer since 2016.
Now, Lee, what type of cameras do you use to, stake out the property?
I've had probably 20 cameras, Moultrie, Covert, Bushnell, Stealth. I'd have to look at I mean, 20 Stealth, yeah. 20. I've had about 20 different, game cameras. 20 different. Some of the same types of Moultries. Moultrie I like the best, but they're different. They're different models and things of that type. So I've had probably about 20 cameras out.
Now,
but after about a year, or maybe even, I just put out a camera in July, a Moultrie camera, brand new, and it totally quit working. Like in October, and I bought a Spy Point camera. My brother Fred gave it to me, but a Spy Point camera, and that sends you some pictures, and that only worked for 3 weeks, and then it quit working, and I sent it back to the Spy Point, and I said, this camera quit working, and they looked it over and they said they tried to. They were. I had it here. They were using their technology. They said we can activate it again, and after a half hour, they said, "Well, I think the microchip is defective." Well, microchips are used in everything. They don't go. She said it worked for 3 weeks. I go, "Yeah, it worked for 3 weeks." She said, "Oh, no, okay. Would you send that camera back to us? We'd like to see that camera." So here's a SkyPoint camera, which is used for it'll send pictures through the through your phone,
right?
And here it works 3 weeks, and it would not work anymore.
Interesting, because on my property I got a lot of them, and just for surveillance of the because
Sure.
I got a mini farm, and
Okay.
we got some livestock, mini horses and goats and stuff like that.
Sure.
And neighbors, which could actually, I won't even go into that. But, again, with your neighbors, like these UFOs you see, now, are they way out, or are any of them you seen close by or anything?
Well, the orbs, I've not seen a UFO. Well, yeah, I have. We've seen UFOs. They would have been further away. But in my camera, I have them, 200 feet from my camera. In some cases, 100 feet from my camera. 50 feet, I have UFOs.
Interesting. Now, is there ever been any like landing marks on the ground or anything where a craft landed and maybe these dogmen or whatever these creatures come and go?
Yes, there has several times. One in the snow, and then I put out a deer, I think 2015, and in 2 days. Now, sometimes the deer would be there for a while, then they would move it around, and then they would take the front quarter off or take the head off and take the head away, which, I don't know why they would do that, but they would cut the head off. And I have a carcass, and I took that to a butcher, and I said, how was this head from this deer removed? And he looked at it, and he said, well, somebody did it with a cleaver. Well, he doesn't know anything about my field, but there's nobody out. I hope there's nobody out in my field with a cleaver, and they would have been on camera. So this thing does have tools. So what was your question?
Well, yeah, again, you need to get well. You know that.
No, I just started to go cold. I'm okay. That deer was there 2 or 3 days, and then it was carried out in my field, and there was a 10-foot by 10-foot area where all the hay it was in June, and all the hay was matted down, and there was pod marks. There was 4 pod marks. Yes, I have pictures of that. Yes.
And how's your neighbor? You said you have a neighbor. It's experiencing some of the same stuff. I mean, how's he taking it?
Well, they won't talk about it. All my neighbors have experienced it. I mean, I got a text message in August and saying, this lady has a stable, and she said two of her riders, or 2 of the boarders, were going back home like 10 o'clock at night, and it ran across the road in front of them. Have you seen it lately? And I go, well, I haven't seen it since May 11th, 2021. No, that's not true. I saw it May 20th of 2023. I saw it that's the 3rd time I've seen it. So, I mean, they don't talk about it. They don't want to see it. It's very difficult to get people to talk about it.
Now, have you ever checked your property where any of this stuff is going on for like any radiation traces or anything like that?
Well, I mean, do you know about EMF?
I know quite a bit about it. Yes.
Okay, so what would be a high number out in my half mile from any electrical line? What would be a high number of milligauss?
Well, if you're about a half a mile away, it shouldn't even be registering at all.
The highest reading I've had in the last year is 1,700 milli.
That is rather interesting.
I get 600. I get 8.
Is there any?
Yeah, I get EMF out there. Is
there any buried underground cabling or anything in the area?
No, there's no electricity out there. No.
Okay. You know what you need is somebody with a spectrum analyzer too, for looking for weird signals also.
Yeah, I mean, I bought 2, 3. I've had 3 AMF meters, and they all have. One went to overload. It would get about 600 milligauss, and then it would go to overload. It did that 3 times in one day. The other 2 will go up to 17. I think 1721 is the highest I've had. And I talked with an electrician, and I don't know. I talked to an electrician, and I knew he had worked out west, and one of his jobs was when they would find a high reading, below some of the lines, because they're running 500,000 volts through those lines out west.
Right.
And he would have to go up and put a shield in an area to keep the milligauss from being so high, high at down at the 30 feet down below, or 50 feet. I said, so what would be a high reading? He goes, well, he said, if you go right up to those lines and put, we had meters, put it right up to the line, it would go to 75 milligauss. And he said, if you go away like 5 feet, it would go down to like 15 milligauss. But then, of course, sometimes down the ground, it would be above 4 milligauss is the level when my meters will start to beep and turn red. And I said, so I showed him a picture of 1,700. And he goes, oh, he said, anybody still alive? Yeah. I took the picture, and it was in my field, and I've seen it many times. I don't even know it. I've never heard of anything like that. So another experiment I'm working on now is I bought a compass just last week. I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I bought a compass and I took it out in my field Monday. Nope. Yeah, Monday. I think Monday or Tuesday this week, and it did not point north. It would point east or it would point south. The end of the arrow would not point north. And
That is weird too.
That's magnetism. I mean, that's the Earth's magnetic field. And here, my magnetic, simple mechanical compass has no electronics in it, is registering 180 degrees off, south.
Now there's no iron,
this week.
No iron, no rocks with iron core or anything in it on the property. I take it.
None that I know of. I mean, it's a farm field. It's been a farm field. I mean, it has the Wisconsin loam. I mean, it has. I don't know who's tested these fields or if they have. I don't know if anybody's. People have dug wells in the area.
That's interesting. Have you ever taken a recorder out there, like a digital recorder or anything, and just left it go during the night and record the sounds out there?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I've had 4 of them, and the last year, all of them now do not work. And 2 of them, they were taped to the camera, below the camera, with Gorilla Tape. And they're small. They're like probably a 1/4 inch by 2 inches by 2 inches, and I would tape it with Gorilla Tape, and twice that was pulled off pulled off and thrown on the ground. And there's nobody out there. There's nobody in my field. It's not a person. So he didn't like those. He didn't like those. All 4 of them now will get files, but they will not record. All 4 of them have had electronic interference and will not record. And yes, there was many interesting sounds on them when it did record for a while. There were many interesting sounds. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of putting, since you can't get, deer and stuff, but some other type of roadkill, some other type of animal you could get, or like a dead pig or something, or around there?
I wouldn't put out. I wouldn't put out a domestic one.
Okay, what I'm saying, and put it out there, and then have a camera or two, like 20 feet away from it, aiming right at it.
20 times or more than that. I put out raccoons. I've done that 20 times, and the repeatable experiment is that it's going to get carried away. It's going to get mutilated first, most of the time. Sometimes they carry away the whole 150-pound deer. So I wouldn't put out anything that's domestic, like a pig or a goat. I wouldn't do that, because if this thing decides that it does like that, and then goes down the neighbor, and like I said before, and that would be a problem.
Yeah, your neighbors wouldn't like you and talk to you anymore.
Oh
yeah,
not at all.
Hey Lee, we got a caller. It has a question for you. Kim, what question do you have?
Okay, I'm going to make this quick because I do have a cold, and I'm afraid I'll start coughing.
No.
So.
Okay.
It's kind of a 2-part. I'd like to know if there's any ley lines that are running underneath of his property. And the second part is, I was wondering if when he's out and he's seeing activity as a portal opening up or something like that, does he maybe feel a vibration in his body?
Well, the second question, absolutely, yes. Yes. There's times I'll be out there and just cutting hay. I got to cut hay. I need hay for the horses and stuff. And all of a sudden you get this, very strange feeling. And my tractor has quit running. I'm driving my tractor. All of a sudden it basically quits running. I have to choke it and everything to keep it going. So, yes, there's been many times that there's been feelings of like the one gentleman I talked about, the Marine, who, the hair stood up on his arms and back of his neck. Yes, yeah. What was your first question?
Well, the other about lines, and we already talked about that. There's no lines on the property, electrical lines. Our time is virtually up.
There's no electrical lines.
Yeah, our time is up. Do you have a website or anything about this, or whatever you want to share? Do you have anything you want to share to the listeners?
No, I don't. I think it's very difficult. Once a year, I give an hour and a half talk with pictures, and if I can't explain the pictures, it's very difficult to do that. And I do that like once or twice a year. I'll have, and other people can come, and I'll give them an hour and a half. I charge a fee, but hour and a half, and then we'll do a half hour tour of the property. It's very difficult. I tried the thing Linda, I forgot. It's not a website, but it's Lee Hampel's Hayfield. But it's just so difficult to explain it and not be able to answer questions because I have so much going on. I mean, I have, so many pictures and very, very unusual pictures.
Now, do you have a Facebook page with any of this on there where people can go look and check it out?
No. I have a Facebook page, but
that's what I just said. Okay.
Yeah, no, because it's too difficult. You can't explain it without a sequence. I say if you want an hour and a half, that'd be the minimum. 5 hours, then you might see, a quarter of the stuff I have. Like I say, I have 100,000 pictures on the computer, and most of them have paranormal activity in them. So,
okay, Lee.
Yes.
Yeah, we're totally out of time. I want to thank you so much for coming on. And again, get a hold of JC if anything more happens, will you?
Oh, it happened. I got a cloak UFO last week. So, yep. So it landed, and it's got mist all around it. So it's a cloak UFO. It's right there in front of the camera. So things happen every week. If I pick up, I'd say 95% of the time I pick up my SD cards, I have activity on there.
Okay, Lee, we got to go. I want to thank you so much. You have a great Christmas, okay?
Okay, you too. Thank you so much for the interview. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell everybody thank you, and thank you for all your listeners.
Okay, my friend. You take care. Well, who's our guest tomorrow, JC?
He's done a lot of research into underground bases and underwater bases, secret ones.
Yeah, we didn't hear the first part. Who's the guest?
Richard Sauter.
And it's going to be good because we're going to be talking about secret bases, okay? Underwater bases. Are they connected with UFOs? I don't know, but we're going to find out tomorrow. And don't forget, tomorrow, after the first guess is over, we're going to take open lines. Just remember that. Let your friends know. We can talk about the paranormal. We can talk about, like some people, their love life or lack of it. We can talk about that, or the car makes a right-hand turn only and not a left-hand turn. Well, till tomorrow, everybody have a good one. I want to, again, thank you so much for listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio. We'll be back tomorrow. Everybody, take care.